the CSC SPV within the Department of Electronics and Information Technology. I would like to request Dr. Tyagi to enlighten this audience with the role that the CSC SPV is doing and also the CSC movement per se.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. For those who are new to, I'm sure that many of you know about the Common Service Center scheme. In the morning inaugural session, the Additional Secretary DIT did mention that one of the pillars of the National E-Governance Plan is the Common Service Center. It's a front end for delivery of services. I think this is a recognized fact all over the country now in all the states ownership that the front end for delivery of services, especially in rural India, has to be managed and run and operated by a private entrepreneur. So therefore, the whole framework was designed in a PPP format, and that's what the Common Service Center scheme is. It envisages setting up 100,000 centers, 600,000 villages, 1 in 6, geographically equitably spread. So far, about 98,000 centers are now operational across the country. These centers, what do they do? What value do they have to the NALED, which we signed an agreement with NALED. And as part of the initiative, what DIT did that, they said all the other front-end delivery system which are set up by various departments or the state governments can also be integrated into CSC. So that process is already on. The announcement for integrating NALED accredited centers or NALED felicitation centers as part of the CSC is already approved and it's in place. Now you may ask the question, what do we get out of this? How does the NALED accredited center get benefited once it can get into a CSC? See, there are 3 things which normally will happen. One is that you will come under the umbrella of a National E-Governance Plan scheme of the DIT. So whatever the NEGP envisages to do through as delivery for front end, you will get into the formal part of the system or ecosystem. The second is that there are a lot of government services, G2C. You will actually become a front end for delivery of G2C services. And these G2C services in various formats. They're done mainly by the state government, some at the district level through an e-district program, or some in the SSDG program at the state level, and some at the central level, also the G2C service delivery take place. So you will actually become an enabler to deliver G2C services to the citizen in the area of jurisdiction where you operate. The third is there are a lot of B2C services. Some part of the education program which you do is actually a B2C in our scheme of things. So you will do B2C services. Where do the B2C services come? B2C services come from aggregators. CSC SPV does perform the role of an aggregator in a limited way in aggregating services of B2C nature. And that is how you will be able to deliver various B2C, whether it's educational services or financial services or the other related services on telecom or bill collections, all that can be done through the B2C. So you will get a huge service portfolio of B2C, of G2C, and get into an institutional framework and ecosystem of CSC movement. That is the benefit you will do. Ultimately, what will done in terms of business, I can give a few examples of what in a business. We have 2 partners which we have signed an agreement here. One is the State Bank of India. So we are now doing all the CSCs across the country, 100,000 of them, approximately will become business correspondent of bank. What does that mean? That means that they will deliver services relating to banks. And I can give examples of J&K. Mr. Hoon is around here. The J&K Bank in J&K runs the CSCs, and there are 700 of them. And these 700, these centers which operate as business correspondent and also business facilitator for the bank, for J&K Bank, has actually got a commission of 5 crore last year. 700 centers earning a commission of 5 crore is an opportunity which you get if you do a BC and a BA part. So that is one mandate you will get. The second mandate, and I can give an example of Madhya Pradesh, where the State Bank, ISECT is an organization which does CSCs in there. There are 400 centers of State Bank. The annual turnover last year of 400 State Bank BC of CSC is 250 crores. That is the amount of volume business you will generate if you become a BC of a bank. The second opportunity which you will get is that we have signed an agreement with UIDAI that you will become, all the CSCs will become permanent UID centers. What does it mean? That means that you will do fresh enrollment of people who are left out. You will do updation of people who want to make changes in their addresses, date of birth, or spelling mistakes in the names, etc. And you will also do a fresh enrollment of people who cross the age limit defined, 5 to 15 years, or where the biometric gets changed. So you actually, the only way they want to do is, so you will become a permanent UID center. So you become permanent UID center, therefore the amount of income you generate. In addition, there are many other services which are now lined up. We also tied up for G2C purposes with the PAN cards issuance, so you'll become a center to rule out PAN cards. We had just yesterday signed an agreement with Election Commission that all the CSCs across the country will do election services. And we need to just integrate with their system. So election-related services means you can actually do electoral roll, and application receipt. You can do a print, even you can do a print of the electoral card for the person, because that is also accepted part of the system. And the amount of revenue which is going to generate out of this. You can even print an electoral roll if a political party wants. You can print a polling station list for him and give it to him. All that work of election-related centers actually can be done through the CSCs. So the opportunity which you have if you become a CSC are phenomenal. But there are certain obligations to be done. I think in addition to the opportunity of business and otherwise, there is an obligation. The CSC ecosystem not only generates business as an entrepreneur for you or the enterprise, and it's basically, as the chairman said, it's a movement. And therefore, it is a responsibility to the citizen to deliver services in an efficient manner. And therefore, that needs quality and quality infrastructure, that needs service of a nature which is acceptable and better than what the government can provide through the outlet services. So why does the government select saying a private sector will do the front end? Because government has limitations doing it. You are available 24/7, you are very close to the people, and you will address the concerns of them. But I think the government doesn't expect the same line and queue of people standing in front of your office and getting a service delivery. You need to have better infrastructure in making people sit, provide them some good facilities, and then address the grievances and then deliver services. So there are obligations in terms of those facility management part in the centers which you operate in order to address the citizens' perspective. So that is how you're going to be in the ecosystem. The capacity building program which we're going to launch, how does the CSC get benefited? Because NALET also has NALET and us, we have signed an agreement. See, all the CSCs will now receive application for NALET courses, and will do some part of the work for the NALET various courses. So the application spread then goes phenomenally higher, because large number of people in rural India who cannot approach to an NALET center or otherwise can actually get this assistive framework available into very close to the vicinity and make use of them. See, as I mentioned, you will hear from State Bank and you will hear from UID of the opportunity which we said. We are talking to the passport. We're almost closing the agreement with passport that all the passport applications can be received through the common service centers of 100,000 across the village. So once you get in the ecosystem, you will get this also. So there are a large number of opportunity with Government of India want to make use of the network of CSC because of spread. I think it's first time in the world that such a large network exists, and the only way people realize to really get into rural India and help the citizens across is to use this network. With these few words, if there are any questions, I'll be willing to clarify. I don't want to make a presentation. I did bring some slides, but I think we have been talking, organizing workshop all over the country, and in various states, we are organizing our workshop on CSC and business correspondent, CSC in education, and we're doing CSC in agriculture and CSC in health. Every aspect of life, we want a citizen should address and try and see if we can do through ICT intervention and help them achieve this very close to their house. That's an objective. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tyagi. I think he has addressed one segment of the e-governance through the infrastructure support. We will go to the other aspect of e-governance where the UID plays a very important role, and ever since the UID initiative has begun, a lot of excitement has been there in the air, a buzz around the UID numbers, etc. I would like to request Shri Suman Kumar to share his perspective.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. UID Aadhaar you must have heard about. I will start with doing a little bit of clarifications. Like it is not a ID letter or ID card proper as it is. It is online identification with platform for authentication. Now that is where the major difference comes of Aadhaar with the other IDs, which were probably made for specific purpose like driving license for driving and likewise others. UID is a general purpose identity, but it is on an authentication platform. Authenticated through biometrics also and maybe demographic also as per the service provider's requirement. Now CSC has a network of about 1 lakh common service centers across the country, and that is where we want to synergize with them. That becomes a permanent enrollment center, they become our updation center, and as it is, they are service providing centers. So multiple services, once the resident goes to a CSC and he can authenticate himself, that yes, he is the one who he claims to be, then delivery of service becomes much more easier, much more quicker. Presently, we are facing the challenge of service delivery across the country. The primary reason is that large population are not able to establish themselves who they are. And as a result, they are not able to get the service. And if those people can identify themselves and in an online manner means they can identify or authenticate themselves across the country wherever they are. People get Aadhaar in Bihar, people get Aadhaar in Odisha, West Bengal, Northeast, and if they can authenticate themselves in Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, and then they can avail of the services there. Services being provided by CSC at the cutting edge level. They can authenticate themselves. Let's say poor chap, he is not able to authenticate himself, he can't get scholarships and things like that. Once he has access to those services, then he is empowered. He gets those power which the government wants to give it to the residents. And once residents are empowered, then the capacity building automatically takes place. It triggers the capacity building. That people will have access to services, and as a result then people will have, like he has said, CSC will be collaborating with NILT and all those kinds of applications, training applications, opportunities available, all those kind of things are available there. And Aadhaar can be common unifier for various kinds of data for capacity building. That degree holders, some kind of groups of people, some SC, ST, OBC, girl, child, all those kinds of data which are existing in silos. At the moment, Aadhaar can be unified. And then the requirement can be filtered as per, the available pool can be filtered as per requirement, and training can be given to them. So primarily, like he has mentioned about bank correspondence, the BCs at CSC SPV centers. Now, those BCs and that service, BC service can be Aadhaar enabled. And giving Aadhaar enabled service there, Aadhaar enabled bank accounts linked with their authentication. Anybody can get money without any document with him. He just gives his Aadhaar number, authenticate himself with his biometric, and he gets money or deposit money or transfer money or check balance, whatever. These 4 activities can be done by the BC. So Aadhaar can be a strong unifier in all this effort and a base for providing service delivery to the residents. That is where major role of Aadhaar comes. And my request will be, we are collaborating across the countries, more than 200 CSCs already, they are functioning as enrollment centers. And with this collaboration, we are requesting them that we also require manpower. We already have almost 1 lakh operators working for us across the country, but they are not adequate. We require more manpower, and like he mentioned, at 10+2 level or operator level, we require manpower. Towns, cities, all these places, operators are available, but when you go to rural area, people are not available. to do the enrollment itself. And it is very difficult to transport the people from state capitals or the cities to the rural area. They don't go at those payment levels. So it will be a collaborative effort between CSC and UIDAI, which will help each other, service delivery, Aadhaar penetration, and capacity building, all the three of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suman Kumar, for highlighting the role that Aadhaar or UID authority plays and how citizens can avail of this, and the linkage which you have established with the CSC-SPV, which can actually play a trigger element for more people to actually get enrolled to the Aadhaar mechanism. So that gives us the canopy of what we can call the e-governance. And I'll now like to shift to e-commerce, where the banking sector, SBI, has a major role to play. And we do have the institution of banking correspondence, which Dr. Tyagi did mention. I would like to request Mr. Rai to highlight on what role that SBI is doing vis-a-vis the CSC.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to thank NILET to give an opportunity to us to be the partner in this today's deliberation, which has given a lot of insight what all NILET outlets or franchises are doing it. So that will help us in further strengthening the relationship in delivering the banking services. As Dr. Tyagi has mentioned, already the infrastructure has been created in the villages or rural areas through the village level entrepreneurs or CSCs under the umbrella of CSC SPV. This is a step toward delivering the services electronically in the villages to the residents who need not to travel too far off to get the services after leaving the day's job and incurring the expenses on traveling and time. So these centers are already there, having the infrastructure, and a step toward making the villages as an e-village. And the aim of the e-village is to have an inclusive growth. So inclusive growth where all the people who are excluded from the economic development or the benefits of these developments which are happening, to bring them into the mainstream. Banking is also one of the important pillars of the economy, and providing a banking services to these people who are excluded from the banking services in the villages is one of the main aim of financial inclusion which banks have undertaken. To deliver the services in the unbanked areas, particularly in the villages, there are the two modes. One is open the branches, and second, engage the partners who can deliver the services electronically, safe, secured, and at the affordable cost in the village itself. Opening of the branches by the banks is a big challenge because there is a high cost. Number two, there are the various issues, infrastructure and logistics problems. So only the way left out is to provide the services and cover the excluded masses through the partners who are already in the villages. So CSC SPV has provided a platform and kept the ball rolling now. Outlets are already there. They are having the infrastructure in place. There is no need to create an infrastructure. Roughly 98,000 outlets, as Mr. Tyagi has told, are already in the field. Only the thing is, we have to rope into them. To provide the banking services through these outlets, there is a one condition that there should be the banking correspondent. So CSC SPV is already a banking correspondent of our State Bank of India and other banks also. So by virtue of CSC SPV becoming a banking correspondent of the bank, all the CSCs are automatically entitled to become a partner to deliver the services in the villages. And nothing much is to be additional procured or invest in becoming eligible for making the services available. Only the additional thing which is required is one biometric scanner, because the services which are delivered or banking services, they are authenticated with the fingerprints of the customers. Because there is no other mode, foolproof, secure mode to authenticate the customer who has come to take the services. In the banking, we are dealing with the money, so it has to be safe, secured, and properly authenticated. For that, we are using the fingerprint verification of the customer. And the fingerprint scanners which are being used nowadays, they are just costing 2,500 rupees. By having that, one can become easily a partner or banking correspondent or customer service point to deliver the various type of banking services. So as on date, we have one solution, we call it the kiosk banking solution, which operates through internet, any internet-enabled PC or laptop, which connects to our central system. For that, customer operator is authenticated and customer is also authenticated before delivering the services. Various type of services which are being rendered starts from opening of the account. So customer need not to travel to any branch. In the village itself, the service is delivered at this outlet. Account opening is facilitated there. They can deposit the money there, because cash is a major component. So cash, for cash exchange, we need the person. So VLE is already there, who has an approved agent of the bank. So they can deposit the cash money, whatever money they have it. They can withdraw also. For withdrawal, they need not to go anywhere. From that same outlet, they can withdraw the money. They can transfer the money, remittance we call it, from one place to another place, from one account to another account they want to transfer, they can transfer from that outlet. Besides that, we are providing a functionality where this small deposit daily or monthly they want to save, called recurring deposits. That can be opened through that outlet. Some has a plan to save the money for something to buy and want to save money like 5,000 rupees. And daily he wants to deposit 5 rupees, 10 rupees, weekly, monthly, whatever way, that is a flexibility. So recurring deposit is there. So we are providing the functionality, also offering this lump sum money they can deposit in the village itself in the fixed deposit, where they can have a higher rate of interest they can earn. So various type of banking services, minimum whatever are required, are available through these CSCs in the village, which are duly authenticated and verified. It's not like that anybody can withdraw the money. Today, your account is there, nobody else can go and withdraw. His fingerprints are authenticated centrally, and then services are delivered. Besides this, now we are planning to provide the tie-up with the insurance companies, to the pension schemes. So various type of services as and when required are being added. As on date, through the various CSCs, roughly we have around 3,000 in the numbers across the country, who are our already partner and delivering the services in the village itself. Dr. Tyagi has already mentioned the name of ISECT. There are other also, like NICT in the MP. There are the SARC in Bihar, Zoom developer. So various SCS or CSCs are already into it. As Dr. Tyagi has also mentioned in the address, this address, कि NILIT centers who are already having the infrastructure in place can also become the member of this initiative. They can deliver the service. And another thing which NILIT centers can provide which I feel it get training of these CSCs in delivering the banking services. This requires training and retraining. So these centers can also be roped in for providing the training and retraining. So any queries and questions on how to become a partner, what to make it, we will take up later on. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shri Rai. Now I'd like to request Shri H. Moon, because we are now moving from e-governance to e-banking or e-commerce to e-learning. So, as the director of the NILET Center, Srinagar, he is already tied up with the CSC SPV and the Khidmat Kendras in Srinagar and Jammu Kashmir. I think you are trying to embark upon new type of services. And I think this synergy between various institutions, that is where we learn the opportunities to build partnerships. Over to you, Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, since morning we have been hearing about NILET as an organization having a footprint right across the country, from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. But let me tell you that NILET is not the same organization that it was 5 years back. In fact, it is not the same organization that it was 1 year back. Our MD is on a MOE signing spree. You know, every week there's a newsletter, and it is, we hear about new ideas, new collaborations, and new MOUs. Be it MOU with SFIO on cyber forensics, be it with CSC SPV on further collaborations. There's no end to it. So we at the center level find sometimes difficult to keep pace with it. But anyway, I mean, we have no choice. We have to follow what the directions come. Now coming to CSV SPV, we had two brushes with CSV SPV. The first brush was with regard to NPR. J&K, which is often in the news for wrong reasons, and people say it's a disturbed area. This was the state which completed NPR on time with a good quality output. In fact, there are people who say that if this comes out of a disturbed area, we wish we had more disturbed areas in the country in a lighter way. Now, in case of NPR, you know, as far as IT industry is concerned, J&K and Northeast, they are regarded as least achievers as far as the IT is concerned, or maybe average achievers. But to the credit of the collaboration that NILET forged with CSV SPV, with UADI, with DITI, we were able to create a basic IT ecosystem in a state like J&K or in the Northeast. There are a number of now smaller companies which call themselves experts now in data digitization, courtesy NPR. You know, when in J&K only, 90 lakh records for rural was digitized, and for urban it was around 30 lakh records. Now there is a challenge. The expertise gained out of the NPR project, how we are going to use it in future. What about the people who were engaged as data entry operators, as quality level experts? What is going to be their fate? What about the investment made by the private entrepreneurs in setting up the units for rollout of the NPR? I believe there is no end to the services. They already are into the business, you know, doing data digitization for public distribution system department, for digitizing the legacy records of J&K Secretariat, you know, for digitizing records of major recruitment agencies like Public Service Commission, Service Selection Boards, etc. So the business has started flowing in. And because of NPR project, we are able to place around thousands of our students, maybe the entry-level jobs only, but at least they had something, at their hands. Now, second thing is with regard to the accredited centers now, who are supposed to now come under the ambit of CSV SPV. Last time, there is a meeting of Jammu and Kashmir E-Governance Agency, where this agenda was flagged, how to get these accredited centers onto the fold. A thorough discussion took place. There were some concerns which I'd like to share, especially with the chair and Dr. Tyagi. One of the concerns was, suppose there is a locality which already has a NILET accredited center, and right across you have a Khidmat center. Khidmat center is what we call a CSE center in J&K. It's called Khidmat center. Now, are there business clashes? Is a question of sustainability of CSE center, because J&K Bank as an SCA has already invested into it. Then the SCA wanted that the role of these CSE centers, they should be allowed, apart from conducting CCC courses, they should be also allowed to take O-level courses. I mean, in case they have to move up the value chain, then the existing infrastructure has to be upgraded. Otherwise, there won't be any, accreditation for higher courses. The third issue that I would like to flag is, in CSE terminology, we call the person as village level entrepreneur. I have a problem with this misnomer. I feel it's a misnomer, village level entrepreneur. Why should we call him as a village level entrepreneur when he's supposed to offer or roll out government to citizen services, which will be not only in the rural areas, but they will be in the urban areas also. So somebody offering G2C services in the city, he'll be still called as a VLE. Instead of calling him a VLE, can we call him as a service entrepreneur or service providing entrepreneur, some kind of a thing? So and then the line, there's a very thin line now between a village, and a village gets converted into a town becomes a city. It doesn't take too long. So why to stick with the word VLE? I believe that it's a very, very healthy example of a public-private partnership, and such examples will certainly give a further boost to the PPP idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. I would think that today's panel discussion gives us an insight into the way in which the CSCs as an entity can grow. CSCs were designed primarily for the purpose of e-governance services, and in order to ensure their viability, the government was giving what is known as the viability gap funding. Now it depends upon the service provider, if I can use the terminology which Mr. Moon would prefer rather than the village level entrepreneur. The service provider has to ensure that the demand that is fueled by the citizens in the village is met through the various kind of service options that he can offer. Inevitably, it can be e-governance, e-learning, telemedicine, e-commerce. And in order to offer that, bandwidth would be a necessity. So that's where I think the National Optical Fiber Network project can visualize the growth of the CSCs. I do envisage that as the bandwidth availability enhances exponentially from the existing 2 Mbps to about 100 Mbps, which is definitely scalable to a Gbps, then the CSC movement can also grow thereupon. The CSC SPV has a huge challenge and responsibility, if I can put it, to nurture the growth of CSCs. Similarly, NILET has a huge responsibility to take digital literacy across the country. Digital literacy for all, the theme of today's entire workshop, has its own center. And you also have a huge responsibility to scale up as the Secretary mentioned, to the NILIT University. So I think you have to build relationship, partnership and the like. I would like to think that this would be the future of NILIT. The workshop has thrown up a few challenges to you. And since I have been sitting in the morning session and also the last two sessions, so I think I can share with you that you are in for a golden period ahead. And I think the more MOUs you get into it, the more IOUs will come in. So I am already informed that this session is late by an hour and 20 minutes. So I think it should have concluded by 3 p.m. and we are now at around 4:20. So I would not like to delve into questions because I'm sure that the audience has got a lot of questions. And as soon as the panelists come down, I think Dr. Dinesh Tyagi and Moon Saab and others, I'm sure you would have plethora of questions to post them and would get into an engaging mode, because the idea of such a workshop is not a question and answer session, but more into an engagement, a dialogue. I would like to leave that to that informal way of trying to build partnership. And thank all the panelists, Dr. Tyagi, Shri Suman Kumar, Shri Rai and Shri A.H. Moon, for sharing their perspectives with all of us. And thank you, NILIT.
Well, thank you, Shri Ravi Shankar. I would now invite Mr. T.P. Singh, he's the Director, NILIT, Aizawl Center, to kindly present mementos to our panelists. I'd request him to first present a memento to Shri N. Ravi Shankar, the chairperson of the session. To Dr. Dinesh Tyagi. One to Mr. Suman Kumar. Mr. L.P. Rai. And to Mr. A.H. Moon. I would like to once again thank our chairperson and our panelists for joining us for this session.